Hey folks, it's Mysterious JG here. Welcome to a Let's Play of what will probably be the earliest, or certainly tied with maybe one or two other games for the earliest game from my own computing video gaming life that I'll ever be able to share as a Let's Play. It's a game that Bobo has mentioned once or twice he'd like to see. One or two other people have mentioned they'd like to see it. Ultimately, I was inspired to do this because of another LPer doing an LP of a game very similar to this one that actually came along later and reminded me of this, which for me is like the mother of all space exploration games. Long before there was Mass Effect, before there was, I'm blanking now on the name of, I'm blanking on the name of the game that I actually watched, because what I've been watching is a open source version of a game called Urquan Masters, but I think it was like Star Force or something. But before any of that was a game from Binary Systems called Starflight, and I would like to share this game with you in this LP. I get to pick my choice, 1 through 6. Start a brand new game, resume a game, play a saved game, save last save as game, delete a saved game, or quit. Now, you didn't have these options, if memory serves, when I played this game back in the day. I guess I'll save that and explain it later, but this was a game that you were playing on 5 1/4 inch floppy disks, back when, as they say, they really were floppy disks. And you didn't have save game slots and multiple save games. If you wanted multiple games, you needed to make multiple game disks with multiple 5 1/4 inch floppies and hand label them. But we're going to start a new game, and then I'm going to have to quickly move this thing so that it's framed correctly with my recording software, because it keeps popping this window up in a new place every time. And then hit the select button for some reason to trigger the music for Starflight. Listen to that epic music. Yeah, it takes me back, folks. It really takes me back. Copyright 1986, Binary Systems from Electronic Arts. Back before they were EA and kind of sucked, and they had the old square, circle, triangle logo. As provided by the Galactic Treaty of 4410, this computer software product is hereby declared the intellectual property of the human authors, Binary Systems. All rights are henceforth reserved in space and time. Provision for the protection of intellectual property is covered under Section 891AF of the Intangible Property Act of 4506, ratified by all beings except the Gazertoid. Included in Section 891AC is the provision for interstellar corporate police to enforce the law. Warning: any being caught with unauthorized copy or version of this software product will be punished by interstellar corporate police. Punishment may include the destruction of the offending being. And here we are, folks. Without further ado, the game. These graphics would have been considered pretty good from an Atari 2600, which, as far as games went, was pretty much what this was competing with, the old PC games. Came out in 1986. Not to give too much away, but I would have been a little under 10 years old, and I was trying to play this game, which I think you'll have some sympathy for me as we play, for any 10-year-old trying to navigate through this game. Interstellar Operations Orbital Division. Notices. January 1st, 4620. You are about to embark on your first mission. In your bank account, you will find the amount of 12,000 monetary units, MOOs. This money is to be spent training your crew, configuring your ship, and purchasing any necessary materials. Of course, you may wish to leave some portion of this in the bank to earn interest. This is acceptable. At this stage of the operation, our primary goal is to gather information. Consequently, your objectives are: seek out and explore strange new worlds. Boldly go where no man has gone before. Establish contact with any sentience. Capture and bring back non-sentient life forms. Record alien life form data. Bring back alien artifacts. Bring back any valuable minerals, including endurium. Keep from getting brutally killed. We have little information to offer concerning what you might find. We suggest, however, that you avoid the area of space around the coordinates 13584, since that is where we lost contact with 2 of our ships. And I will be making a note of that in a notepad file off to the side. And you might want to take notes if you're gonna follow this LP through faithfully and liberally and carefully and blah blah blah. You might want to make notes on some of these things, folks, because there is a lot to find in this game. Scout reports blah blah indicate a high density of minerals in the mountainous region of the innermost planet of our system. The text scrolls without you. Further, we have found information that leads us to believe that there may be some ruins of the old empire, coordinates 17 north, 162 east, on the second planet of the neighboring K-class system. We have also received some indication of alien activity in the system 17594. Good luck, and a safe return. End of notices. And I just realized... now, you have not filed any colony world recommendations. Evaluation, folks. As you travel, if you find worlds that are suitable for colonization, you can recommend them to Interstellar, and they will send people out to check them out. Trade Depot. We offer the widest selection at the lowest prices at Starport. How may we help you today? I'll get to the backstory in the second video, folks, because in the second video, I think I'm just going to actually read some excerpts from the manual, which is a PDF form, but I figured that might be kind of a dull way to introduce it, just reading out of the manual. I think you need to... this game has got enough backstory and complexity that you do need to read out of the manual. You can't just pick this up and start playing it. But I'm going to pick it up and start playing it for one video to give you a little taste of the game. It'll give you guys a chance to decide if you're interested in seeing more. The second video, I'll read some out of the manual and give you a little bit more of what you'd actually have, information at your disposal as you started the game. In the third video, honestly, I'm going to load a game where I played ahead and just did some basic stuff to earn money. And so I'm going to show you how you earn money in this game in this first video. In the second video, we won't have bought everything we need to buy, but we'll be in a position where we can wander a little bit farther away from home without being too worried. Anyway, we can buy titanium, promethium, more gold. That's a Bullwinkle joke. It's actually molybdenum. I think it's molybdenum. Cobalt and aluminum. These are repair minerals. It's a good idea to have some stock of those on hand, because if your ship gets damaged, those are the minerals that you'll need to repair it. Endurium is fuel. It's a fictional element that is used for fuel. And we have 2 artifacts. The flat device and the winding orb are both for sale. My account balance is 12,000 mu, and even though it says 0.3 volume, unit costs 30,000, it actually costs 30,000 to buy the flat device. The 0.3 volume, that's how much mass it takes up in your cargo hold. And the winding orb I could afford. I have nothing to sell except 20 units of endurium fuel, which I begin the game with. And usually you pay money to analyze objects. These 2 objects are for sale from the beginning. And if you hit Analyze, you just are told what they are. Flat device. This device will project a shield around your terrain vehicle, which makes it difficult for dangerous life forms to attack you. And a winding orb. This is found in the underground colony. We're not sure what it does. We think it has something to do with communication. Exit. But most of how we will be earning money in this game... Sorry, folks. Something I had to check quickly off. Got something going on my work computer. I need to keep a file copy going. Sorry, not something to be doing during the very first video of a new LP. I do apologize. I'll try to keep that kind of thing to a minimum. But yeah, most of the time we'll be hitting the trade depot when we visit this home base station here, because that's where we'll go to sell the minerals that we mine, because that's your primary way of making money in this game. Ship configuration. We have no cargo pods, class 1 engines, that's the cheapest engines you can have, no shields, no armor, no missile launchers, no laser cannons. First thing we have to do is name our ship. We're going to call it, because twitching torpedo won't fit, we're calling our ship the Devon 7. And I'm going to pretend, for my own edification, that our ship and our crew are actually, well, our ship is owned by and our crew is employed by Devon 7 of Apoctyl. I'm just doing that for my own fun. So it's the Devon 7, the ISS Devon 7. At the beginning of the game, you can afford to buy slightly better engines. Engines increase fuel efficiency, and fuel is expensive. But the really most important thing for you to do is buy some cargo pods. Cargo pods will allow you to actually carry stuff. Let's go ahead and get we have to sell our Class 1 engines first, and then we can buy Class 2 engines. And we still have enough. Well, we don't really have very much money left, and we want to save some of it for training the crew. But we got 6 cargo pods and slightly better engines on the Devon 7. If we try to go to the docking bay without doing that, we just get a message saying that we need to go to christen the ship. Try to go to the docking bay now, let's say report to crew assignment. If we go to crew assignment now, it'll say report to personnel, because at this point we don't have any crew for our ship. Crew are free. You don't pay anything. You don't pay monetary units to get crew members. You pay monetary units to train crew members. And your crew members are of limited usefulness to you without training. However, you can create as many as you want. You can create far more crew members than you actually have slots to fill in your ship. So the first thing we need to do is create, as you can see, actually you can't see that yet. If we come over to personnel, this is where we assign crew to their positions. We need to have a captain, a science officer, a navigator, an engineer, a communications specialist, and a doctor. You can have one person do all of those jobs. You don't have to have a separate person for each job, but I usually prefer to do that. So let's create a crew. First thing we got to do is choose the race. We can have a human, a Velox, a Thryn, an Eloan, or an android. I'll get into explaining that later. But as you can see from their starting scores in each of these attributes, you can tell how good they're going to get. If you start at 50, you can be trained up to the maximum of 250. If you start at 30, you can only be trained up to the 200. So you can see humans are the good kind of jack of all trades. There's nothing they can't get reasonably good at, but science is the only thing that they can be the best at. The Velox are worthless at 2 of the 5 disciplines. They can be decent at science, but not as good as humans, and humans are actually cheaper to train. The learning rate indicates how much it costs to train them. Velox, there's no reason you'd want a Velox doing anything except navigation and engineering, but they are the best at that. Thryn are the best at communications, except that they're tied with the Eloans, who are also best at communications. Thryn have much higher durability than Eloans. Eloans is very easy for them to get killed. Eloans are the only ones that can achieve the maximum score in medicine, although humans can come close. We'll get into it later in video 2 when I read through the manual a bit. There is an issue with having Eloans and Thryn on your crew. And I'm going to basically set up for multiple configurations. I will have humans officers trained to do both of those jobs. So, and I will have a Thryn and an Eloan, both of whom I have the option of just leaving back at starport. You having them on your crew simultaneously is a problem, not because they will fight each other, but it becomes a problem when you travel in space and meet species who dislike either the Thryn or the Eloan. We'll get into that a little bit later. But suffice it to say, I want to have a human. The Velox is no problem. You can have Velox all over the place. They don't cause any problems for you. So I'm going to have a setup where it's a crew entirely of humans and Velox. Then I'll get myself a Thryn, an Eloan, and just for fun, an android. Only reason you'd ever want an android is if you wanted to get one at the very beginning of the game, because they can't be trained at all. These are not like Mr. Data androids. There's no, like, you know, Pinocchio syndrome. The android wants to be a real live boy going on here. They are just androids who do not have sentience, I guess, and are fairly simple. They start out okay at navigation and engineering, but once you get your biologicals trained up, which costs some moolah, but by the time you've got a fully trained crew, androids won't be good for anything except sitting back and you know, taking over if somebody gets killed. But having an android at the very beginning could be potentially useful. But I'm going to go ahead and assign my crew now because we've done too much talk. Too much talk, not enough action. Our captain is going to be Captain Avatar. He's Ray Chesney, Ferris Ryu, Maxim Hero Avatar Man. He is my standard 8/16-bit JRPG adventure hero, and he's going to be the captain in this voyage. Next, we need somebody who's good at science. As we can see, humans and Eloans are the... Well, Eloans started with 10 in science? I didn't know they sucked at science. Forgot about that. Well, humans are the only ones who can achieve the highest level of science. And since you think of your science officer as being the brains of the crew, who's the smartest human that any of us can think of? Zhuge Liang. My science officer will be Zhuge Liang. Zhuge Liang in space. His lasers will finally make sense. Now we're going to need a navigator. Navigators don't just travel through the stars. Navigator is potentially your most important crew member because they are also the ones who are in charge of combat. And when you think about combat, you think about somebody who can go out there and conquer their enemies. I don't know about you, but I think of Great Khan. So Great Khan is going to be our navigator. We need an engineer. Great Khan could just be trained up in both navigation and engineering. And once the money really starts flowing in, I'll probably have people who are double specialists. So like, you know, what VLOX who's good at navigation and engineering, and if I have 2 VLOX on my crew, and they're both trained up in those areas, then if one of them gets killed, we just keep on rolling. But we need an engineer, somebody who's reliable, somebody who we can always depend on, because an engineer has to be able to keep everything running. You need somebody dependable for that. You need somebody who can be your best friend forever. So we got to go with Bo. Or possibly Bo, depending on how you feel like spelling it. That's right, Daddy. I'm going to keep your ship prepared and somehow become an insect. That's Bo. Now we need a communications officer. The best at that are the Eloan and the Thren, but like I said, I want to have a crew layout where I'm not depending on either of those species. So we need to think of a human who really has a way with words. The gift of gab. Somebody who always has the right word for any situation. So we're going to go with Millennia as our communications officer. The file is not empty. Sorry. We need a doctor. I'm sure there's plenty of amusing medical doctor type people we could come up with, but since I'm running out of slots, I got to find a way to put them in somewhere. We're gonna have Rembrandt be our doctor because he's really not very good for combat wrecking those toys, but hopefully he'll be able to spray disinfectant on you like it was a spray paint can or something. Now, we can have as many crew members as we want. Well, I don't know about that. There might be a cutoff. I've never hit it. So I'm just going to go ahead and have one each of the other races. So if we're going to have one reptile/amphibian person, it's really a reptile person, but I'm going to go ahead and call them Gene anyway. We get a plant person. Since we had Gene represented, it's only fair that Spar be represented. And even though we probably won't use them at all after the very beginning of the game, we'll have a super robot, Nails. And there we go. We've got a crew. Should probably spend a little bit of money training them. Probably should train the navigator. No. 0 sessions, because I didn't mean to select you at all. Great Khan as our navigator. We can afford 6 training sessions before we're completely out of money. So, wait a minute. Yeah, I guess our robot's just going to do everything for right now. We don't have enough money to train anybody anyway. So until we make some money, the robot will basically run our ship for us until we get some money. In which point we get to dump them. Captain Avatar, Science Officer, Zhuge Liang. Navigator is going to eventually be Great Khan, but for right now, Navigator is Nails. The engineer will be Nails. The communications officer will be Millennia. And the doctor... Dr. Nails? No, the doctor will be Rembrandt. We've got a crew. We're all ready to go. At the bank, game purchase minus 200, ship configuration minus 10,100 credits. So the minus 200 game purchase is just like an amusing little thing that's always there at the beginning. And we go to the docking bay, and we get our beam up special effects. Ship computer activated. Pre-launch procedure complete. Standing by to initiate launch. We have our different options here. We have captain, science officer, navigator, engineer, communications officer, doctor. We have our menus that you will become familiar with as we play the game. The engineer is generally the one who's doing the least. If your engineer is really busy, that's probably a bad thing. Doctor is next. If your doctor is really busy, that's also bad. Basically, if things are going smoothly, the engineer and the doctor aren't doing much of anything. Now, unfortunately, this game does have copy protection, so if you'll give me a moment, I need to get my copy protection thing going. Just pop that up here. Starflight code reel written by Pat Sheeran, so thank you, Pat Sheeran, for making us laugh about love again. Captain, launch. Ready to launch, confirm, yes. Request security code for Earth, frightening apparatus, Thrin. This is a code breaker thing for the code wheel that this game came with. It's always one planet, one artifact, and a race. The race being the Vilax, Thrin, Eloan, Meccans, Spemen, Gazertoid, Ulek, Minstrels, and Mysterion. So we got Arth is actually the planet that we start. Our space station is in orbit around the planet Arth. We'll get around to that later. Earth is a planet, though. Earth is not. We do not start this game at Earth. Again, second video we'll get into explaining the backstory, but basically it's a space exploration game. With the frightening apparatus. And the race is the Thrin. Code is 743593. 743593. Open the docking bay doors, Hal. Starport clear, standing by to maneuver. Navigator, take us out of orbit. Full impulse. And here we are. They told us that the planet in our system closest to the sun has high concentration of minerals. But for right now, let's leave our solar system and come out here to interstellar space. And now we've got the star map. Each of these little dots is a star. Here's the thing. What finally kicked me in the pants to get going with an LP of this, even though I've been thinking about it for a long time, was another LP, or Grimmeth, doing an LP of the Urquan Masters. A game, I think it's Star Control 2 is what it's actually called, but Urquan Masters is like a port. Yeah. Anyway. We're at 124,100. Each of these is a star. Each of these stars has... Some of them don't have any planets around them, but most of them have quite a few planets around them. The real issue is that each planet is much bigger than the ones in that game. In that game, each planet is like a small little screen where you can zoom around in your pod, and it's fun, and you can shoot at life forms, and you collect minerals by just driving over them. You never have to worry about running out of fuel or anything. That's not how it works in Starflight. Each planet around each of these stars is monstrous. They're huge. The game designers never, like themselves, admitted that they did not explore every planet that was in this game, because they actually wrote software that created and randomly mapped out the planets. They didn't actually go in and design all the planets. They had a software system to do it. So each of these specs has between, some of them have 0, some of them have very few, but most of them have between 5 and a dozen planets, and each planet is big, huge. This is a huge, huge game. Alright. So let's take a look. First of all, this is something that somebody did for the interwebs, where they kind of fancied it up. But there is a map very similar to this one that comes with the game, so I'm not spoiling anything. These circles, they're not labeled in a way where you can understand what they represent. But you come to find out fairly quickly that they represent alien spheres of influence. I think I'll try to remember to keep my cursor on for this recording. That's where we start the game. Okay? Each of these circles is the area of influence for aliens. As you can see, there's a little overlap here between us and one of these nearby aliens. When I start reading from the manual in the next video, you'll start finding out there's already information. We don't really know exactly what's going on, but we know that in the past there was a migration outward from the core by alien species. So there's a reason that it's like crowded with aliens over here and there's nobody over here, and that's a big part of the plot. There's a reason for this. And generally, the more powerful aliens are the ones on the farthest outside. It's a nice game balance thing, because it means that it's going to take some real effort for a player who's just getting started to get all the way out here where the really powerful aliens are. And B, it makes sense, because as we find out, the aliens are pushing, like all the Ascension aliens are trying to get away from the core. So the strongest and most powerful ones are the ones who are able to assert their dominance and actually settle and control space that's farther away from whatever this unknown danger at the core is. And we also know from the manual, you remember how I had the choice between humans, insect-looking guys called Velox, some lizard-looking guys called Thrin, and plant-looking guys called Eloan? Well, we know from the manual that although the planet we're starting on, Arth, is basically made up of survivors from something called the Old Empire. And on Arth, humans live in harmony, more or less, with Velox, Thrin, and Eloan, because they all used to be allied in the past. And some planet of the Empire, like some people got away from the Old Empire, which was being destroyed, and settled on Arth, and that's why those guys are together. And the humans were otherwise wiped out. So the only humans that are left that we know of are the ones from Arth. But it's not the same for the other races. The Velox, the Thrin, and the Eloan actually did survive. So they're out here somewhere. Humans are gone. But the answer, it's kind of like, there's some timeline where they were split. So the Velox, the Eloan, and the Thrin that are here are not 100% exactly like your ones from Arth, because they've had a long period of no contact. There may or may not even have been genetic drift, but basically those species that they came from are still out there and have their own space, areas of influence. Also, the aliens who were responsible for destroying the Old Empire are out there somewhere. So as we travel, we're going to meet aliens who we can make friends with. We're going to meet aliens who are going to want to be friends with us, and we have to really work at it to avoid being friends with them. We're going to meet aliens that we can be friends with if we approach it right. We're going to meet aliens who we can avoid open hostility, but they will never be our friends. We're going to meet at least one alien species that will always attack on sight no matter what. So we've got all that to look forward to. But we're starting here. And why am I showing you this map? Well, part of it was we've got our message. We're at 124, 100, but from our introductory message, they told us to avoid the area around 135.84. So let's check 135.84. 135.84. Damn it, this. It's very difficult to hit the buttons lightly enough. Apparently, earlier exploratory ships sent out from Earth were wiped out in this area. As you can see, in the grand scheme of things, it's not far away at all from where we started. They said there's alien activity in 175.94, which would be out here somewhere. So maybe that means that these, potentially that means that the aliens down here are dangerous. But there's alien activity over here. Ships were wiped out here, although they didn't say they were wiped out by... we lost contact with them here. We don't know exactly what happened to them. And we do know that there's some ruins in a system very close to us. So let's... well, now we're getting to the half-hour point. I did have a couple things I wanted to do in this video so that I would be free to start reading out of the manual next time. This is the neighboring K-class system. The second planet of this system, and we got a coordinate 17 north, 162 east. There's supposed to be ancient ruins there. So let's check it out. Well, Zhuge Liang uses magical sensors. Atmosphere, hydrogen and oxygen, or nitrogen and oxygen. Water in the hydrosphere. Gravity is 2.5 Gs. From what I saw in the manual, that's too high. We can't recommend this planet for colonization. 2.5 Gs would be considered crushing gravity. And also, because his science skill is low, he hasn't been trained. Even though he's the brilliant, the wise, and talented Zhuge Liang, we haven't trained him up to the maximum, so he can't actually tell what the predominant surface is, what the atmospheric density or temperature is. Those are all things that we need to know before we recommend the planet for colonization. Status, he gives us the status of the ship. Navigator can maneuver. We don't really want that right now. Captain is the one who's in charge of telling us to land. So we can select 117 north, 162 east. And you'll get a feel for how frickin' big these planets are. And we're going to come in for a landing. 2.5 gravity is too high for colonization, but it's not too high for us to land on. The game does automatically end. You better have made a save, which in the case of this game means you better have gone into DOS and copied the files off of your gameplay disk in drive A to a blank floppy on drive B. That's how you saved games on this game, which I found out after having wasted many hours and gotten killed. This was the original hardcore game for me. A roguelike, whatever you want to call it. You lose, you die, your game's over, and you start from the beginning. But yeah, you wanna save before you land on certain planets, because yeah, you try landing on a gas giant like I did when I was a little less than 10-year-old kid trying to play this game. Hope you didn't take 5 or 6 hours of gameplay to find that gas giant and land on it, because your game's over. Anyway, we're going to disembark. We got some stuff there. It is raining. Maps. We get a little map. You see those black dots represent life forms. What's this? This is a ruin. And a message. Cargo. Planet surface messages. 0101-4620. Read. Report to colony control at 16 south, 20 west, planet 4, system 118146. Due to the increased demand for triticale and a recent infestation of small furry creatures which have depleted our stock, we press key to continue. This would appear to be a cute allusion to the tribbles on Star Trek. The guys who made this game were obviously huge Star Trek nerds, which I don't have a problem with that at all. I'm not saying that to be a criticism. I'm just saying they're pretty big Star Trek nerds, and it's not something they're trying to hide. But anyway, system 118146, planet 4, 16 south by 20 west. That's something we'll want to look at later, because it's a message to colony control. I don't know what that is, but that's not our interstellar that we are taking orders from. So what we'll probably want to do is record this. In the meantime, there's life forms, so let's take a look. A huge fungoid life form with... I hate the fact that those messages knock out your... You guys can pause it and read it. I can't. With a rubbery surface, it has tiny spiral-shaped flowers. It appears to be sessile. That doesn't look sessile. What is that? A large enemy-like... It appears to be attacking. Oops. It's an enemy-like creature, but it's attacking us. Weapons, stunner, and laser. But now it's out of range. I just shot it with a stunner. But it still appears to be attacking. I can't even read the damn... Intelligence analog fox. Okay, it appears to be stunned. It attacked I thought I was stunned. It just attacked nails. Now it's dead. We shot it too many times with a stunner. A large enemy-like life form with a hard black surface. The game will not let me read about this thing. Record. I wanted to record bio data, but whatever. This thing is docile, the fungoid, so I can capture it without any problems. Anyway, you can see that it's changing around. We're 18 north, 162 east. 19 north, 20 north, 21, 22. Just giving you a feel for how big the planets are. You can also see that I've got energy at 68%. You use energy as you move around. If you run out of energy while you're still out in that ship, you have to return on foot, which means A, you can die, B, you lose the ship and have to replace it. So while in like Star Control 2, you can lose your ship to earthquakes and lightning, in this, you simply run out of fuel, and you can't retrieve your ship. Even if you make your main ship launch into orbit and land again and try to find exactly where that thing was, if you run out of fuel, it's over. So we're going to launch. As you can see, the controls for combat with creatures on the planet are clunky. The game keeps clearing your messages while you're trying to read them. Everything is keyboard driven. I stunned the thing. It recovered before I could do anything about capturing it, and I stunned it too many times and it died. That's a very common problem. Also, life forms really aren't worth that much money in this game. They're really not worth very much at all compared to minerals. Mining is much simpler because the mines don't try to kill you. So that's really the best way to make money. Let's examine Avatar. He's slightly wounded. Let's examine Millennia. She's slightly wounded. Let's treat Millennia first because she's a lady. And we're going to travel and look at some other planets in this system before we call it a video. Basically, I want to show you a little bit of mining. But I think this is a gas giant. Our atmosphere is ammonia and hydrogen. Hydrosphere is water. Gravity, not certain. Predominant surface, gas. This is probably a gas giant. Let's not mess with it. usually the inner, like if it's anything like our system, then the inner planets are going to be solid, and the outer planets are going to be the gas giants. But I don't know if it always holds true in this game. You know, this looks like doesn't look like a good planet either for this. Let's just go back to our system. They told us where there are some minerals there. Innermost planet of our system is supposed to have some minerals, so I just want to show you mining very briefly so you can get a feel for it, because it is a real grind, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on it on camera. But I want to give you guys a feel for what you're actually in for. I really ought to scan this planet first, but they told us this is a good place to mine, so let's just take their word for it. Assume that it's not a gas giant in disguise, a planet with oceans and mountains. Safe landing, Captain. It is overcast. There are minerals. You can look, but I always just go straight to cargo. 8.6 units of tungsten. Pick up. Yes, our cargo is now 17% full. We're at 96% energy. 4.1 units of chromium. Pick it up. Cargo 25% full. We look at the map, we've now moved far enough that even though they're up here, for some reason we're now able to see them. 8 units of chromium. Pick up. Promethium. Chromium. Some minerals are worth more than others. We're 87% full. Let's go back to base. Southwest, 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 west, west, west. Okay, so we spent, what, like 2-3 minutes mining? Let's take off, see how much money we made from 2 or 3 minutes of mining. Bearing in mind that because we just landed, since we just landed, we hadn't mined that area out. We didn't have long distances to drive away from our ship to find mines or minerals. So the more mining you're doing without taking off in your ship and landing elsewhere, the less time efficient it becomes, as you have to fly around or drive around more and more to find any minerals. We spent a couple minutes mining. Let's come back to base. And let's disembark. See if there's any notices. It is necessary to give you some unpleasant news. You may have been aware that for the last several years, scientists have been observing anomalous fluctuations in the radiation levels of our sun. The main plot begins. While you have been away, it has been ascertained that the stability of our sun is definitely deteriorating. How much time we have until there is a fatally large flare, we are still not sure, but there is little doubt that this will eventually occur. As yet, we have no clue as to the cause of this instability. Therefore, we must assume there is nothing we can do to change the situation. In view of this, the only options available to us is to get as many colonists off of Earth as we can. You can be invaluable to us in this. First, we need endurium to power the ships we will build. We will pay well for any that you can bring back. Secondly, we need to know where to send the colonists. As you may have already discovered, your ship is equipped with homing drones, which you may use to log your recommendations. This is so that we can move the colonists out as quickly as possible. In addition, a sensor has been installed which will inform you of the stellar condition upon entering a system. Your ship computer will inform you in the event that a flare is imminent. We advise caution while in systems which are more than slightly unstable. Being caught in a solar flare would certainly be fatal. In your manual, we have outlined the criteria which will be important in your evaluation of viable colony worlds. You will be rewarded for recommendations of valuable planets and penalized for recommendations of planets which turn out to be uninhabitable. Consider carefully before logging a planet. Next message. To all captains, one of our ships was just destroyed by what reports indicate to be androids approximately 20 sectors directly forward of Earth. When passing through this area, proceed with caution. Androids. Killer androids. The Androsynth. We offer the widest selection and lowest prices in Starport. How may we help you today? Sell. Can't sell the Endurium. We need that. Let's see. Let's sell the Anemone. We started out with 1901 Mu. Let's sell the Anemone-like and the Fungoid. That was about 400 Mu. Let's sell the Tungsten. Let's sell all of it. Let's sell all the Chromium. Let's sell all the Promethium. Now we're up to 15,402. So you can see those two life forms got us about 600. About the same amount of time spent mining got us up to 15,000. So mining is a much better way to earn money. If we go into ship configuration, now we've got 15,000. What can we buy for that? Can't upgrade our engines. We could buy crappy shields. We could buy class 4 armor. We could buy the cheapest possible missile launchers. And we could buy the cheapest possible laser cannons. The point I'm getting at, folks, is if you want, okay, 150,000 for class 5 lasers, 200,000, that's a total of 350,000 for the best weapons. Forget that for a minute. 350,000 plus 1. That would be 475,000 to get the best with shields. 575,000 plus that. You're about 600,000 MUs to get class 5 everything. And we've got 15,000. So we need times 4 would be 60,000. We need about 40 times as much money as we have now to get all this. That also doesn't include buying cargo pods and training our crew. So what I'm getting at is that we got a long way to go. We've come a long way, baby, to get where we got to today. We also haven't bought any fuel. Let's take a look at our fuel supply. We have 17.6 of our starting 20 units. So we use 2.4 at 1,000 each. It costs us about 2,400 Endurium, which means that if we hadn't done that bit of mining and we'd expended that much fuel, we would have actually been at a loss based on selling those two life forms that we got. Now, obviously, if we were serious about life form hunting for profit, we would have kept at it and not just grabbed two things, but still. Yeah. So that was mining. You'll probably see more mining before this whole thing is over, at least a little bit more. But I wanted to avoid showing you too much of that because it's really boring, and it is, in fact, what you've got to do a lot at the beginning of the game to get established. But we're going to take a little break. We're going to call it a video. It's been almost an hour. When we come back, I'm going to read from the manual and give you all the background that we're supposed to have. So if you're still interested in this game after 50 minutes of setting up a ship, equipping crew, and mining, if you're patient enough to get to the point where you actually start to explore this huge solar system, and if you're amused by the fact this is one of the very first games I ever played where the game is programmed to do something if you don't input any command in a while, which is that guy starts tapping his foot impatiently, well then you could be in for a treat. So let's call it a video, and we'll come back with more of Starflight. Thank you guys very much for watching this video from my childhood, this game from my childhood, and I hope you stick around for more. Bye-bye.